There are people who resist change, people who embrace it, and those who are somewhere in the middle. When it comes to the digital age, our newsmaker tonight is someone who practices what he preaches. Marcel Stalder is the CEO of one of Switzerland's largest consultant firms, Ernst & Young. And when it comes to digital transformation, he doesn't sit on the fence. He helps clients to adapt and ensures his own firm is up to the minute. Additionally, he is on the board of the organization Digital Switzerland. I began speaking to him about what some call the fourth industrial revolution.
I think it's an expression who stands for the fundamental transformation we are in from an old reality, a market environment we have seen in 2005, towards something we will see 2025 and beyond. So the World Economic Forum calls it the fourth industrial revolution.
I like that phrase, by the way, the fourth industrial revolution, yeah.
And I think that's what it symbolizes for me.
And it's, from what I understand, it's all about time. It's the fact that so much is happening so fast.
Absolutely. Sometimes people tell me there is no such a thing like the fourth industrial revolution because change always happened throughout mankind. But I think, yes, but what changes is the speed at which change is happening at the moment. And I think that is the disruptive element of the whole thing.
And that leads us to what is digital transformation of all kinds of industries. I mean, of our lives in general. You know, how do you see yourself, how do you see your life affected by digital transformation?
I think we all change, and we potentially change at the higher speed that our parents did at the time. Sure. Yeah. And I think the biggest symbol is the iPhone or whatever smartphone we both use, right? If we lose a smartphone for just a few hours, we feel like, you know...
You've lost like a body part.
Exactly, you lost a body part. And I think that is the strongest sign of how much we are changing at the moment. So
you pack an iPhone, a connected phone, right? And do you do all of your own personal transactions happen online? You've incorporated this into your also daily life.
I mean, it's not a religion for me, but the technology offers a whole lot of opportunities in terms of efficiency, in terms of interaction, in terms of communication, in terms of... I mean, for years, people spoke about lean management. I think with these new technological opportunities, it just happens.
So you're very positive about this.
Yeah, but
From what I hear.
but I hear, you know, an underlying message. What I say is absolutely, it is for me positive, and I think it is positive. But the biggest risk is social acceptance.
How will people cope? How do they cope?
How do they cope? But the problem at the moment, the issue at the moment, is what I see is that there is fear in the system. Because people see there is change. People are uncertain what that change might mean for them, their kids going forward. And that fear then is impacting political decision-making. You see, I mean, the Brexit, the disintegrating Europe. You see some new protectionism in the world. I think those are all signs of that fear and uncertainty that is going on in the public. And I think what is important for us as a society, for the politicians, but for leaders in economies and elsewhere, is that we have this public dialogue, that we bring the people and population with us on that journey. If we are not successful in that, we will see issues. We will see issues as we just discussed.
I'm listening to you, and I just hear so much passion, and it's something that really is a topic that really engages you. Where does it come from?
I think part of it is personality. No, I think you know, I'm a happy man. I think fundamentally, I get up in the morning, I feel the energy. I have a positive challenge with my job at EY. And then I try also to think a little bit beyond that, what that means for corporates in general. It's also part of our role and purpose as EY. But what does it mean for society? What does it mean for the next generation? What does it mean for our kids? And that's one of the reasons why I engage in what we call Digital Switzerland, which is an organization that thinks about these kind of aspects and try to make some positive impulses.
And you are very optimistic about it. I've heard you say that, we may have lost the 100-yard dash with Silicon Valley, but Switzerland could still win the marathon in terms of digital presence in the world.
Yeah, that's true, because if you think about it, Switzerland is one of the leading countries when it comes to innovation. After the INSEAD study, we're even the most innovative country. Then we have fantastic organization on the education side with ETH, with EPFL, university being Sangal or Zurich or Geneva. Then there is a lot of capital in the system in Switzerland. I think then we have the traditional values like quality of life, stable environment, social balance. And I think those are all building blocks that would tell you that we are actually in a good place for the future. But if you are honest with each other and we look in the mirror, the first 100-meter places like Berlin, Tel Aviv, even Paris, Amsterdam, they actually got ahead of us. And now we need to start. And I think we started, and Digital Switzerland is an important aspect of that start. But many corporates themselves started, and I think we have a very good opportunity, very good position to actually come out of that fourth industrial revolution as one of the leading geographies, hopefully entire Europe.
All right, so let's just bring this home for you now. Let's look a little bit at EY. You've been CEO for the last couple of years, right? Since
a couple of months. I think it's something a little bit more than 18 months.
A little bit more. Okay, so not quite a couple of years, but 18 months. So it's still quite a new hat for you. And your ambition is to be number one. How are we doing with this? If we could take stock of this at the moment, where are we with this?
No, we are a learning organization. I'm a learning individual. Now I look back. Was it a good idea to go out to the media and say we will be number one in 2022? We will see in the future.
You knew it was going to come back to you, right?
Of course. We will see that in the future. But in fact, if you're a CEO, you got to understand the market and your clients. You need to have a clear strategy and you need to have a clear ambition. And so I think it is the right thing that you put that out, because the days are over where you have this internal reality and then you have this external communication. I think your internal culture in a day where every employee has cell phone and camera becomes your external brand. And so I cannot communicate to the internal organization of EY, our ambition must be to actually become number one and number two in every of our selected markets, and then go to the market and say, yeah, let's see, we don't know, right? And so, yes, I went out and said, our ambition is that. And I think we have good cards to end up in a leading position.
And what are your customers, your clients saying? You're saying you said earlier you were listening to what they were saying. What are they saying? Where are they at?
About the fact of our ambition?
No, yeah. Well, not about the fact of your ambition, but about this whole transformation.
Okay.
How do you...
Okay. No, that's something I discuss daily. I just an hour ago, I came from a lunch with one of the leading CEOs. All of the industries, all corporates are in the middle of this fundamental transformation. I think there are very few players in the market who say, oh, that's not for us, that doesn't hit us. And the patterns for all these businesses, for all these industries are very, very similar. And if you wish, I can a little bit talk about that.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I don't want to get buried in it. I just wanted to, get a sense for what you're hearing. No,
I try to make that very simple. First of all, the 2005. Why, by the way, 2005? Because it was a few months before iPhone 1 hit the market, and cell phones today are an important symbol for this transformation. So the world beyond 2005, many business models were product-based. So insurance companies would sell insurance contract, and life science companies would sell drugs or produce drugs and so on. And the world beyond 2025, it's the client who's in the center. So the client with his fundamental needs and dreams. Then markets were in some way physical and localized, and they become global and platform. You see that a couple of years back, we went to a certain city, we're doing shopping. In the future, we go to platform like Amazon others, and we can actually shop from what planet Earth has to offer. Then, when you look at the competition, it was a brand-based competition. If you look in Switzerland, it was UBS against Credit Suisse, it was Coop against Migros, it was EY against PwC, and so on and so forth. In the future, it will be ecosystem-based competition. As you have seen in the airline industry, it was Swissair against Lufthansa. Today is Star Alliance against OneWorld. And we see this building of ecosystems. And that is also one of the pattern that we see. And then finally, distribution was very much push-based on stock production and so on, and that started already a while ago. It's now pull-based. You as a customer, you pull a product or a solution or a need, and then that is triggering the entire value chain. So there are some patterns. And in the center, and I'm going to stop, there are 5 things.
Can you see that I keep wanting to jump in there? Okay,
exactly. So finally, there are 5 things that all CEOs with their management team need to address. So the question, how do you transform your business from this old to this new reality? Number 1, you need to rethink your strategy. What makes you successful in the future when you have been successful in the past?
Can I just clarify, is this something that you already have underway at E&Y? This transformation that you're describing, these 5 things, is this something that you're also implementing?
Absolutely, absolutely. It hits everybody. And so I can make the example with EY if you wish. So rethink strategy. So in the past, the big 4 in general, professional service firms, we would deliver audit, we would deliver tax service, transaction service, and so on. Now our clients, the CEOs, if they are themselves in this fundamental transformation and they are not thinking about their business in terms of, oh, I need to resolve a transfer pricing issue, I need to resolve X, Y, Z, they think about what do the 5 things, the fundamental transformation mean for me. And so our strategy is to go what we call vertical. We try to start with a strategy to help our clients through their operational transformation, support function integration, outsourcing, reorganization of IT, going into cloud, integrate data, and finally ask what does it mean for your employees, how do you shift culture?
When we come back, we go deeper into the way Marcel Stalder transformed his own company. And for this task, he got help from retired partners. More on that in a moment. Let's talk tech. Do you want to see the latest gadgets? Understand where robotics will take us next? Find out more about the pioneers and their latest research? Join us on Tech Talk, where we'll be meeting the people behind the big ideas here in Switzerland and around the world, and finding out what it means for businesses, consumers, and the planet.
Tech Talk with Anna Maria Montero on CNN Money Switzerland.
How do you turn your idea into a successful business in Switzerland? If you want to develop your business, have individual mentoring and coaching, optimize your business model, develop a marketing strategy, acquire new skills, learn how to network. Autrement dit, formation, business opportunities anywhere.
Excuse me, miss, you dropped this.
No, it's just a penny.
Just a penny? Just a penny? It all begins with the humble penny. Whether writing your first check or cashing big checks. To those at the top making their mark, closing deals round the clock. On Quest Means Business, we know every penny has power. And it's not how many you have, it's what you do with them that counts. That's the marvel of money. Quest means business. What a profitable hour!
Only from CNN Money Switzerland.
The Swiss Pulse delivers you the most important global and Swiss business and financial news, connecting Switzerland to the world. Tune in every weekday from 6 p.m. or find us on the go on our website or social.
Our newsmaker tonight knows all about change. Marcel Stalder is the CEO of one of Switzerland's largest consulting companies, EY. We're anticipating future trends and disruption are key. Helping his own company stay ahead of the game is also important. And he told me just that the fresh-faced recruits who embrace technology are not the only ones. Retired partners also contributed. Take a listen.
I think as a population, societies in general, nobody is ever ready for a change. The question is how do you engage the organization? How do you make your organization ready for that? And so we just spoke about the strategy process. So a couple of years back, when EY had a strategy process last time, so it was an exercise with some internal, external support, and then the management team would define a strategy, and then we would tell the organization, communicate the strategy. So this time, fundamentally different world. So
there's no time for strategy.
No, I wouldn't say that.
In the same way. I mean, it has to happen much faster.
I wouldn't say that. So first of all, I call it tactics because it's not that long term. It's a mix between strategy and tactics. But I think time is not the problem. The question is how do you mobilize your organization? How do we involve your organization? So I ask myself, first of all, we're a partnership. And partnerships are different than other corporates. And I said, how do I involve all the partners? And I had this idea that we have retired partners. And the active partner generation thinks back of some remarkable exponents of partners in the former generation. I contacted some of them, and they were very positive, and asked them whether they would help me. And they were helping me and doing an interview for 1 hour with every partner. And we asked every one of them, how do you see EY? How do you see the future? How do you see the competitive landscape, clients? And they could download everything they had in their mind and in their hearts. On the other side, we engaged up to 50 clients in this exercise and asked, how do you see EY? How do you see yourself? How do you see your interaction and need vis-a-vis professional service firm changing? And then I went through a process where we picked randomly 10% of our employees, and we organized what we called like chimney fire discussions from Geneva to Senegal. And I did that myself. We were discussing with young people the same stories. And so I wanted to hear the next generation. How do you see these aspects? And that gave us tons of data as a basis of the new strategy. And they all felt part of it.
And what are they saying? What's the headline?
Yeah, the headline is, what does ecosystem mean for EY? So are we open to operate with other players and go to market collectively? And we did that. We have 4 global contracts, one with Microsoft, one with GE Digital, one with SAP, one with IBM, because those tech firms, it takes them potentially too long to build up all their business and industrial understanding and the business relationships. For us, it might take too long to build up all this technical capability, even though we built that up as well in pockets. But let's go to market together. So are we ready for these ecosystems? What does it mean for us in terms of technology? How do we digitalize? What does it mean for our services? Audit, in the past, Audit was a function people times hour, time rate per hour. In the future, it will be 50% technology.
You don't exactly. You don't need as many auditors. You don't need as many bodies in the room going through papers and looking at numbers. Now you just do it with a computer. How does that? But that's also something, you know, that for your employee base is also maybe a scary thing to hear.
I don't think that for the professional service firms in general, that's the most scary thing. I think this issue is a much bigger issue on a geopolitical basis in general. That's what I start that discussion. Do we really have enough work for the future? For the professional service firm, especially in Switzerland, if you see our demography, so there are less and less young people going forward. So perhaps it's a good thing, this digitalization, because a couple of years back in the 80s, we were all afraid, where will the workforce come from in a shrinking society? Yeah. So that might be even the answer for that, right? Number one. Number two, professional service firms, already 20 years ago, we had between 10 and 20% fluctuation rate because we are like the education bench for a good part of the economy. So we have naturally a lot of people who come to us after the university, they stay with us a couple of years, they go back to the industry. So that will work without too much disruption. So it's not a general issue for EY, but it will be for society.
You get more, maybe, I assume, more technically savvy people as opposed to maybe more people, you know, because I feel like an auditor has got to be a people person. He goes into the office, he starts going through all your papers, he starts looking at all your stuff. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and now you're getting a generation that's just a little bit more, you know, just about the computers. You know, I imagine there's also a transformation in the kinds of people that will be having these jobs.
What I hear, the question I hear in your words is, what does it mean for the profile of the future employee?
Yes.
And so technology will take a lot of activities away from human beings. Mm-hmm. So what is then the role of a human being in a work process in general, and what is it in consulting and tax and transaction audit in general, specifically? So number one, I think it's important that as an individual you are strong on values, high integrity, because that will always be at the heart of our service. Number two, international exposure, experience. It's important that young people, after their basic education, they go in other places, to the Far East, to the US, even to Africa, to other places, because in a globalizing world, the capability to speak languages, to be open and tolerant to other cultures, that is extremely important. Mm-hmm. Number three, I think people today and the next generation, they need to be much more fluent with technology, because everything will be technology. What else? Teaming. The issues today, they become more and more complex. So that you, with your own background, can address an issue and resolve it, it becomes more and more rare, because the future will be, you need to put teams together that in a multitude of capabilities address an issue. So therefore, teaming. And finally, I think very importantly, what the machine will learn very late, and you say, I don't say never, but what the machine will learn very late is our social skills, so empathy. And so these are the 5-6 things, I think, that if you prepare yourself for a future career, so it has to do something between emotions, social skills, international capability, teaming, technology.
Technology, digitalization. Yes. Now, another topic that you are also an expert in is the finance industry. You have also a strong background in finance. How is the industry doing? How do you feel it's doing years after the end of the financial crisis? Mm-hmm.
I think that the role of the financial service industry in general has not fundamentally changed. It helps the economy in general to operate and to operate in an efficient way. People who tell you that large banks like UBS, like Credit Suisse, others will disappear in the future will be equally wrong as people who will tell us, oh, fintech is a total hype, will not play any role, and will disappear. I think the future of the financial service industry will be a combination of today's large bank and financial service organization. Why? Because of the trust. Because of the brand and the trust that brand represents.
I would like to finish up by just asking you, I mean, when you think of digital transformation for your company, I mean, it's an investment, you know. What does it mean for your bottom line?
First of all, it is an investment. For our bottom line, it means that if we would not do it, it would be easier for the bottom line now, but it will be potentially a disaster for our bottom line in the future. So we invest ourselves. We go cloud as EY because I'm convinced that is the only sustainable future when you look at cost. We invest into integrated systems. We just went through a fundamental story on that side. We invest in integrated data. We invest in new technology, new smart computers.
You're standing behind your investment.
But how could you not do that at the moment? And at the end of the day, it's also, even though we are afraid on one side that there might not be enough work for all of us, but on the other side, there is always too few talent. So there will be a war of talent. And how do you attract people without being modern, latest technology, flexible, agile? So I think at the end of the day, you do it for multiple reasons.
It's a mindset. It's a
mindset. It's a culture.
And a culture. Thank you so much, Marcel, for joining us today.
Thank you very much.